it's starting right now. Hopefully I'm not streaming on somebody else's channel. Wouldn't it be funny?
I think we're still not muted.
Okay.
Ultra Ninja JK, dupla jeans da bota chakra em cada linha de faca. Face macramé no micado, passo espadas por frases. Sintático, repara no que diga, é paradigmático. Não tenho paralelo, sou para lado mágico. Sabes como rolo, martelo pneumático. Técnica secreta do monstro roxo. Estamos a meter-nos no dojo, estamos a manter como no jogo. Só com uma espada nos tojos. Plano picado, não sabes de onde esta ave vem. Nenhum radar pode detectar onde está a nave mãe. Tu sabes bem. Somos a clique, somos o clã. É Monster Jinx cabrão, respeito ao Vasco, comer tartan. Na terra do nunca não digo banzai. Vivo na espunca e tenho um bonsai. Ninja que é ninja, ninja, frotas imperiais. E bate mal, logo bate mais. A minha crew não sem espelhos. Na rua, dragão azul, dragão vermelho. Sento o silêncio. Verso shinobi, nunca me canso. Sou de Nairobi, ágil como um ninja. Rápido como um ninja, letal como um ninja. Brutal como um ninja, fatal como um ninja. Forte como um ninja, secreto como um ninja. Devo mesmo ser um ninja.
Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas, 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 ninjas. Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas, 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 ninjas.
And we are live, and a happy Star Wars Day to everyone, and welcome to another Westerosi Ninja and Dawg stream, and May the 4th be with you. Okay, I'm your host, the Westerosi Ninja, of course, and joining me as usual on these videos is Dawg from the Dawg Show. So what's happening, Dawg? How are you doing?
Oh, man, great to be here as always, Milt, and yeah, May the 4th be with everyone today, so... And God bless Peter Mayhew, his friends and family, and all his fans as well. So lost a great one just past week. So right. And great to be here today as well, Mel. Great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed these collaborations that we do. Tonight, guys, we'll be going through our top 5 moments, good or bad, from Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3, titled The Long Night. And, so what did you think about this episode, Dawg? Any thoughts? Any conclusions?
I know we've chatted a little bit this week, and I've told you my feelings, and I haven't really had a chance to tell, folks what my feelings were on this episode, Milt. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you now, the first time I watched it through, I was, I've been invested in this show for a very long time now, right? I mean, I love this show, of course, right? And again, compared to anything else on television, this thing is amazing, of course, right? Except I couldn't really see very well, right? This episode. Now, however, the first time I watched it through, it was just like very intense to me, right? Because I was I was more concerned about who's going to live, who's going to die, right? Who's going to make it, all that kind of stuff. How are they going to, destroy the Night King, things like that. So the first time I watched it through, the intensity level for me as a longtime show watcher, that was like super high, right? Mm-hmm. But now the second time I watched it through, right, I had some issues with it, a little bit, right? We might pick apart a few things here tonight. I just might, again, these are moments, folks. They're not necessarily good, bad, or or things of that nature. These are moments. It could be a WTF moment as well, right? That's, things of that nature. Because I think there was a few WTFs in this episode, right? But again, real quickly, I watched it immediately after it aired, and I didn't like it as much, right? Mm-hmm. And then I watched it the third time, I think the next day or the next evening or something like that, right? And the more I watched it, the more I was not liking it. So I think I'm going to put that episode away a little bit, and not like do, something to where I'm going to absolutely just not want to, be vested in the, the next program, So, what happened, and I think we'll pick apart some things and maybe try to figure out what's coming in the future here, Milt. So thanks for letting me vent a little bit here tonight.
Yeah. Thanks. No, I mean you're welcome. Yeah, I had the same kind of feelings too. I was pretty hyped up about it right after, during the live show and right afterwards. But as I thought more about it and thought more about what actually happened in the show, and the situations that certain characters got themselves in, I started to kind of like the episode less and less, and so I stopped watching it too after the second time because, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things to basically pick apart here. And then, it's counterproductive to basically watch TV and then start just, all you do is just pick apart things. So I kind of like put it on the shelves. And maybe in 7 or 8 months, I might go back and actually watch this episode again just to see how my views have changed. But anyway, great segue on Peter Mayhew, dog, because I have a slot on it, so it's basically an in memoriam of Peter Mayhew. For those of you who don't know who Peter Mayhew was, he basically played Chewbacca in the Star Wars movies. Okay, so born 1944, died just this past week, so passed away this past week, and he definitely lived a very full life. I think for the last 10 years, he was in a wheelchair, though, kind of confined to a wheelchair. So he was definitely ill, but again, what could be more badass, right, than playing Chewbacca in a Star Wars film, right, Doc?
Absolutely. Again, I think I mentioned this on Rhodes Rants on Star Wars and John Matrix, so I'd do some live streams with during the week. We mentioned. I think I really kind of went into detail about. I can't think of another alien that's just an obvious alien, fictional alien character that he was definitely my first, and that drew me into the science fiction fantasy world, we can have a character that just growls and just be like that, right? And it's great, right? I mean, he's just he was a fantastic character. I think I mentioned, other than Spock, Spock with his ears, right? He was he was kind of an obvious alien, but he was nothing like, the appearance of Chewbacca, right? And what we got from Chewbacca. So, hats off to Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Chewbacca was that he was the Hodor before Hodor, right? I mean, all he did was growl. That was his one line, growling. So, just like Hodor. So, there you go. The original, the OG Hodor, it was Chewbacca, played by Peter Mayhew. So, rest in peace, Peter. So, you're on a Westeros Ninja stream. So, what does that mean for the next slide, Dog?
That means we're going to have some trivia, folks.
Yeah, we're gonna have some numbers, and I'm gonna continue on this track for the rest of the season. But I looked at the viewership numbers, the U.S. viewership numbers for episode 3, and lo and behold, there was so much hype surrounding episode 3, the Battle of Winterfell, that it actually exceeded the season premiere. Season premiere was about 11.8 million. Episode 3 was about 12.02 million. And it felt like 55,000 viewers short of the all-time Game of Thrones viewership record, which was set in last season's finale. So season 7 finale. So really, really good job in terms of the viewership ratings for HBO for this past episode. So what do you think, Dog? You think the episode viewership number is going to keep on going up, or you think there's going to be a little bit of a dip now because the hype's over?
I was just thinking that in my head too, Mel, and I think those numbers went way up because I don't think the episode was able to leak this time around. I don't know if you were able to get the kind of illegal watcher numbers, right, well, right, to factor in here, but I think that might have had something to do with it. Of course, this was a big hyped episode, also, right? I expected better numbers than the premiere. Now, what I'm expecting for the next episode is right there where episode 2 was, right? Kind of maybe a hair higher than it, but I think there's going to be a dip right there, maybe a dip, or maybe just a slight increase on the 5th episode, and then I think the finale is going to be the top. I think it's going to top last week's episode. So I think we're going to have a dip, a slight increase, and then it's going to peak out. That's my prediction for right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's going to be a dip because the hype has died down, because everybody was expecting a bunch of characters to die in episode 3 and never wanted to watch it. Plus the fact that you're obviously going to get more watchers because these episodes are a lot longer now, right? They're going to be 82 minutes each or 80 minutes each from now on, right? So I would expect, viewership numbers, close to the season premiere roughly, or a little bit below the season premiere, because just the fact that there's a lot more time for viewers to tune in and watch these shows, because of the extended minutes or runtime. So it's pretty interesting to see what's going to happen here. But definitely, HBO is basically making their money, right, in terms of the viewership numbers at least. Here, so it's interesting to see what's going to happen. But definitely, it's not going to go down much at all. I don't believe personally. So. Let's go now into our top 5 list, Dog. So, hard, easy, so making these lists.
You know what? It was the hardest of the episode so far. It was definitely hard because I was just like, where were the, and also, folks, what we do try to do is I usually tell Milt my list real quickly. I tell Milt my list, and we try to not have a duplicate so we can try to cover the, most of the episode, right? So, but trying to find like specific moments here that weren't like just straight up WTF or somebody could spin it to a WTF moment was really difficult to do. So I just kind of, brainstormed, started writing some down. And that's what, whatever was in my brain at the time and got put on this piece of paper in front of me here was kind of what I went with. Right. So we'll see how it goes. We'll get to vent a little bit here tonight and maybe talk about, possibilities of what's to come.
Yep, definitely. So, okay, guys. So we are going to start with our lists right now. So numero 5 in celebration of Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. We're starting with Dog as the visiting team.
Cinco de Mayo.
Go ahead.
All right. And farewell, Ed Tollett, folks. So I thought, and we were predicting, who we thought wasn't going to make it. And I did think that Ed was probably not going to make it through this episode. Now, however, this moment here, I thought Ed would go out a little bit better way than basically being killed by Sam. I think Sam got him killed. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm also going to get into Samwell Tarly here a little bit. Samwell Tarly had absolutely no business being in this fight or being in that line or in those ranks. He should have been down in the crypts where he belonged. Right. So now Sam's plot armor is absolutely huge. Right. His plot armor is so huge that at one point in this episode, we see John. Right, walk right by Sam, and Sam's like, they're gonna get me, right? They're right, and John was like, his plot armor is way too thick, and he just kind of keeps on trucking, right? But again, Sam's having one of those moments, right?
Yeah.
And Ed comes up and says, "Come on, Sam, let's get back in the fight." And at no point does Sam ever say, "Hey, Ed, look behind you, right? There's a bad guy, right?" And Ed gets stabbed, right? So, and that's the end of Ed, right? So Ed goes down. And now, so what does Sam do, right? Sam the Slayer, right? The Slayer of the White Walker, the Slayer of the Thin, right? I mean, he's battle hardened now, right? And he wants to be in this fight, right? He sees the White that just killed his buddy, right? I would have, pretty much probably been on the attack. I'd imagine pretty much most of the population in a situation like that would probably be on the attack, right? What does Sam do, right? Sam does a snagglepuss exit, stage left, right? A reanimated corpse even. Whoa, I got to get out of here, right? So, I'm a little upset about Sam's character right now. Just his overall, the absolute, I had a little issue with Sam being out there. I didn't see him really contributing much other than, people kind of saving him at the right moment and things of that nature. But, as soon as Ed was down, and the white was in front of him, and he's got dragon glass in front of him. He could have just stuck the thing and then been over, right? He's experienced, right? I mean, he's so it's like I didn't understand I didn't understand that he basically turned into the Sam of old here. So I think I've rambled enough about this. Maybe got a little.
As Preston Jacobs quoted, one of the most competent characters in the show was killed by one of the most incompetent characters in the show, and that's pretty much what you had here. I mean, Sam wasn't just useless in the battle. I mean, he was a liability. I mean, talk to Ed, right? A total liability in the battle, and he had no business being there, and especially, why would he give away his Valyrian steel sword, right? Then, if he wanted to fight in a battle, right? Exactly. So, because all he did was pretty much just cower the whole course of the battle, and he basically transformed himself into Janis Slint, right? In the battle at the wall against the wildlings, basically just cowered and peed in his pants the whole episode, and it didn't make any sense for Sam to be there. I mean, I'm not sure if he was just trying to prove, that he was a fighter and that he belonged up there. Obviously, it didn't work. Or it was just kind of lazy writing because they didn't know what to do with Sam if he was in the crypts. So why not just stick him out there and show him as a coward? Whatever. Dollar Zed was a great character, one of my favorite characters. And yeah, it's too bad to see somebody like him basically bite the dust. But, we have to see him bite the dust because it makes way for the 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, which I think is going to be a big deal. Okay, because it adds 999. Okay. So, I mean, eventually he would have had to die, I think, to close everything out, to give it perfect symmetry, that kind of thing. So, great choice. Pharaoh Ed, rest in peace.
I was thinking they were going to just do away with the Night Watch now, but the only other thing I wanted to play on off you, Milt, real quickly was how you said he's a competent character.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the Hard Home episode when John's like, we got to go get the glass. And Ed just comes up to him and he's like, F the glass. We're going to die here. Right. And gets John off his ass to leave. Right. So, Ed was great. So, but I wish he would have gone down, face to face with some dudes or something, right? As opposed to the way he went out. So.
Exactly. His last words were like, Sam, get up. That was it. And then boom, like a knife or a spear right through the mouth or something like that. So that was it. Or the chest in this case. So, great choice. Dog's number 5. Farewell to Dolorous Ed Tollett. My number 5 was actually at the end of the battle, seeing Grey Worm still alive. It's like, what the hell is happening here? Okay, everybody thought. I mean, it was like at least a 90% chance that he was gonna die. I mean, any character that gives a farewell, basically that basically discloses his retirement plans the episode before and how he's gonna live happily ever after with his true lady love is gonna die. At the end of the next battle. That's the typical Hollywood trope. Well, it didn't happen. Okay, so I'm calling this guy Tyrese Rasputin for certain reasons here. Basically, the Grey Worm had at least, I think, 5. I think it counted 5 separate 1 versus 20 fights in this episode. Okay, where he was just basically surrounded by a bunch of whites. And yet he still survives. I mean, this reminds me of a scene from The Walking Dead with Tyrese. You can see in the lower left-hand corner where Tyrese is fighting a bunch of zombies in The Walking Dead with just a hammer, and he survives that fight. But at least Tyrese survived 1 fight. Grey Worm, survived like at least 5 of these fights. And, I don't know what's happening. And then, Peter Rasputin was, a famous, charlatan, a Russian charlatan who basically was pretty much unkillable. So, I mean, he had real life plot armor at least 5 times in his life. And I think Grey Worm right now has some pretty strong plot armor, Dog. Because if he didn't die in this episode, I don't know when he's going to die. So, I mean, it might turn Disney on us.
Mountain or something, Milt?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you still have more?
No. I'm done. Durant.
I was looking at the bar. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was gonna lose it when he was looking at Melisandre, right during the battle, right when they were trying to light the trench, and she looks at him or he looks at her, kind of thing, right?
Uh-huh.
And I also thought like when she came up and was like Valar Morghulis, right? And I thought basically that was like, he's not going to make it here, right?
Yeah.
And but when I thought she was going to have him like kind of like do what that orc did at at Helm's Deep, right? And doing like the torch thing or something, right? But he was going to bite it or something, right? But that didn't happen, right? Then Mel comes out and lights the trench with John just kind of hanging out by the trench on top of a fire-breathing dragon, mind you. But that's when I thought he was going to, I thought that's when he was going to lose his life was, he was going to be the sacrificial trench lighter. I thought that's what was going to happen there. But I think that unless he runs into the mountain maybe or something like that, right? But I think he's going to take Miss Sunday back to Narth, right?
Yeah. Noth. Yeah.
Is there an R in it?
No, there isn't. It's Naath. But but since Grey Worm is a foreigner, I mean he has to stay. I mean he can't stay in Noth long because foreigners without Noth blood is actually gonna they're actually vulnerable to the butterfly fever on Noth. So I mean he'll die there unless he just hangs out on the beaches and basically takes extended vacations away from a Sunday. So. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen here? But I'm worried that I'm kind of thinking now that he has such plot armor that him and Miss Sunday would actually have a Disney finale, and actually they will be sailing off back to Noth together, in love.
It sounds like they're going to be our Romeo and Juliet ending possibly.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, good. So Tyrese Rasputin for my number 5. Dog, what's your number 4? Go ahead and shoot there.
And my number 4 here, folks, is, and again here, how does this man not make it through this episode, right? But Samwell Tarly lives, right? And it's a matter of plot armor, folks, absolute plot armor, right? But I just wanted to say farewell to Jorah Mormont, who is one of my favorite characters, right? I know he's been the friend zone character, of course, right? Gets ripped on for that, but I've loved his arc all the way from the beginning, how and how he changed, right, and to how loyal he was to his Khaleesi. There's so many scenes of him just absolutely risking his life to defend her, right? At the Dothraki camp, and taking her into the tent. Things of that nature too, right? The fighting pit as well, right? But just as I just loved his character, right? I like the stuff that he did with Tyrion too, right? But he went out like a champ, right? He went out defending his Khaleesi, right? Basically, what happens here, folks, is that John is down there, right? He's trying to get to Bran, I think, and Drogon flies down with Dany, right? But she kind of gets overwhelmed with whites, and Drogon kind of bucks her off like a mechanical bull. And but Jorah comes to the aid, right? Of course, right? And now again, there are some WTF moments in some of these scenes where they kind of keep flashing back to these two, right? Because I swear to God, unless I'm old, I'm a little older, right, folks? But I saw like 3 whites, like right on top of Dany. Right, we're coming right at, and they had kind of like a sky cam of it, right? So we're like looking up overhead, and then there's like a couple of them coming to Jorah, right? And then they cut, right? They cut to like Arya or something or somebody else, right? Or whatever else was going on, right? And I'm like, man, that didn't look good, right? So either Dany destroyed all 3 of those, and she's a beast, right? If she did that, right? Or Jorah absolutely went out like a Boromir. King Theoden type of moment, right? That we might talk about another character down the road here that also probably did kind of the same thing here, right? But boy, how did he die and Sam didn't make it? I think that was my biggest issue here. But thanks, Jorah Mormont. You got cured of the grayscale to I guess his main role here was to save his Khaleesi one last time, right? As John ran off to essentially do nothing.
Yeah.
But I might get to that later.
Yeah. And Dog, I mean, there is some irony to what you're saying right now, because how did Jorah die and Sam live? And Sam was the one who cured Jorah of grayscale, so he could survive just to die, So just some really weird irony going on here. Yeah, but this was a really great death actually from Jorah, because it was very touching, very sad, especially at the end. I mean, Jorah actually said I think the last words of the entire episode, right? I think his words were like, "I'm hurt" or something like that, and that was pretty much it, in terms of the spoken language in the episode. A great scene. I mean, I like the way, that it ended with Jorah and Daenerys basically fighting together, at the end, at one of the characters' ends, because those two were kind of like linked together since the very, very beginning, right? So, Captain Friendzone, Sir Friendzone, whatever you call it, it was good knowing you, but I think the writing was on our wall. I mean, the writing was on a wall, like, last episode when Jorah finally, said, yeah, Tyrion will make a much better hand than I ever will, trust me, I believe him, and yada, yada, yada. It pretty much means that Jorah has actually no place anymore. So, with Daenerys. So, it happened. I'm sad to see him go. He was a great actor, great character.
And the only other thing I will say is that Dany definitely could have prevented his death, right? Because, like, basically when she tells Jon, go get Bran, do what you got to do, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the cool part about dragons, right, and if you had a dragon, was you could use them to fly, right? You can kind of get up in the air,
sure,
right, away from the stuff that's going to come up and mob you, right? And Dany just kind of chills out, watching Jon, probably reminiscing about maybe their, a couple previous episodes ago, right? But maybe that's what was going on there. But she kind of hangs out so the whites can kind of overrun her on Drogon, right? But next time, maybe get up in the air.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the only thing I hope for now is that, that should recover Hardspain. Basically, Daenerys will recover Hardspain and basically give it back to Sam. I mean, because I don't want that sword to be lost. I think that sword is going to play a significant role later on in the season. Perhaps, it'll be a weapon to basically kill Nisa. Perhaps, whoever Nisa is. Anyway, so, great choice. Great scene, Dog. And, I'm going to miss Jorah. Definitely. My number 4 is the Night of the Living Dead. Okay. What happened in the crypts? How did corpses, dust and bones, 1,000 years old, hundreds to 1,000 years old, okay, essentially reanimate, okay? And how could they actually bust through their stone coffins? Right? I mean, I'm assuming that they're in coffins and not just buried straight in the dirt, right? They are in caskets here. So what kind of whites are these? I mean, are these things super whites? Are they imbued with like some Stark magic in addition to some Night King magic? Making them basically, regain their corporal form into like, sort of like, basic kind of flesh golem creatures, but with super strength that allows them to basically bust through stone coffins. I don't get it. Okay. I was telling people that people were saying, oh, no, those guys are in the crypts, it's going to be really scary down there because, all the dead people around. Like, but these guys are like hundreds to 1,000 years old. I mean, they've already been like, totally turned into dust and bones, except for maybe Rickon and Ned, right? But Ned doesn't have a head. So I don't think the Night King can magically, grow his head back. And, Rickon has been forgotten anyway, so why bring him back now, right? So I don't know. I didn't get the scene. I mean, it was just basically for fan service, perhaps, to make it a little bit more scary. That's probably what the producers wanted. Skews the dark pictures here, but everything's in the dark. And under the crypts, and I was expecting more out of Shireen 2.0, right? That we saw, introduced to last episode. But the last time we saw her, she was being dragged by a white. So, I thought she was going to kick some ass or something like that. But no, Shireen 2.0 didn't do anything. So Shireen 2.0, you were useless. You were supposed to protect these people, especially the Gilly, and you did not. And just some foreshadowing here. I think Little Sam's going to be a new Night King. Anyway, so what do you think about this, Dog?
I had the same issue right when I was first watching it, but the first thing I was thinking of is I think we have discussed this before, Milt, or I've definitely discussed it before. Is that the Night King raises the dead, right?
Yeah.
And they want to hang out, with the dead essentially here, right? So I always thought that this might happen, right? However, if anybody remembers, season 7, episode 10, the Dragon Pit scene, right? And the Hound basically carries that white up, right? They even had it on a ship too, where the white was inside of a crate, right? It's kind of like a casket kind of thing, right? And that white was pretty much secured inside that thing the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Now these things are absolute hulks, right? These skeletons, these are strong. These are like 10 times the power of Jason and the Argonauts.
Definitely.
Right? So they just bust through the walls, right? And it's amazing to see them work, right? So maybe the Night King had some, maybe I don't know, maybe his power ring was totally on full tilt or something here, Milt. That's the only thing I can think of here, possibly. Or maybe they've been dead so long that all their Night King force powers have been dormant, and now the force is awakened, if you will.
Yeah, plus the double effect of them being, in the Stark crypts where there might be some magical elements, in play here. And plus the fact that maybe, their bones were basically infused with like adamantium, right, from the Marvel comics, the hardest substance known to man. And they had enough muscle mass and strength to actually go and bust through those stone coffins. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Night of the Living Dead, man. I mean, this is pretty much it, And Varys, what the hell were you doing besides looking scared the whole freaking episode? I mean, Varys usually has like a couple of key lines, pretty cool lines per episode. He didn't have anything this episode whatsoever.
He has not done. Essentially, he has not done anything really here in Winterfell. I can't think of one thing other than I think he was in that conversation about the proposal of the proposal, right, or something, right? But I mean, I think we're going to get more of Varys in action, if you will, for these last episodes, right? Where it might be him versus Qyburn or something like that playing, but maybe not, right? But I'm trying to think of what Varys has essentially done so far.
Yeah.
He heard a dirty joke in the beginning, and in the first episode, and then that's essentially all Varys has really done.
Yep, I mean he's and guys, the Three Stooges are still intact. He's still got Tyrion, Davos, and Curly, aka Varys. So let's go into your the third moment, Dawg.
Here, folks.
So what is it? Tell me what it is.
Yep, and this is my it's kind of a moment, right? But it's kind of more of an arc for one of my favorite characters, the Hound, right? So I'm basically kind of making the moment being, when Beric and the Hound kind of save Arya, right? And I think Beric he does like if you've ever seen the movie Platoon, right? And I think Willem Dafoe's character, the way he kind of goes out, they kind of try to do it. They kind of tried to mimic that scene a little bit with Beric, right? But Hound picks up Arya, right, and makes sure that she gets to the spot, right, as Beric, goes out like a champ as well, right, and blocks her, right. But now what I want to get into right here is, right, the Hound and Milt and I we've talked about their relationship in the past and as a teacher-student relationship, right? And if the Hound did not tell Arya where the heart was, I mean, Middle Earth would be destroyed right now, right? Of course, right? So as we learn later in the episode, that was crucial, vital information to know where the heart was for Arya to just come leaping out of absolutely nowhere. And I mean, it makes sense. She's a no one to jump out of nowhere. And then to drop the knife perfectly where the heart is. That was taught by Sandor Clegane, who is not knighted, by the way, right? So this man deserves a knightship, if you will, right? Or somebody knight this man for telling Arya where the heart was, so Middle Earth could be saved and spared. And we get 3 more episodes now because of this.
Yeah, and of course, the Night King's heart is where a normal human's liver would be. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah. What can I say about the Hound in this episode? He was fighting strong, right, in front of the battlements, but once he saw fire, he kind of freaked out again, which doesn't really make sense because didn't he ride a dragon that was kind of breathing fire last season? And he wasn't freaked out then. Just saying.
I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, so.
and it just makes him look like a coward, if you will, right? Or, kind of like a dessert. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and he was more, in despair, right? And that's despair for him, right? He's just going to put his axe down and just be in despair, right? So, but once Barrick said, hey, tell her that, there's nothing to fight for or something like that of that nature, right? But once he saw his student, still out there, right, then he got up off his dead ass and, got to work, right, and made sure that she got to, the black hole on Smaug.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's kind of that's what I wanted to say. He's kind of like he's kind of like the Bilbo Baggins sort of thing, right, or the Thrush, right? Yeah. And so he's kind of like, hey, there's a black hole. Right in the middle of his chest or something, right? Yeah. So kind of like so he's kind of like the bird telling Bard the guardsman, go out there and take down Smaug.
Okay. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of disappointed in the Hound's antics. This episode, but maybe Barrick's purpose was to kind of save Arya, keep Arya alive, as well as maybe save the Hound in terms of maybe he helped the Hound after this overcome its fear of fire, perhaps, so he can live on to basically give the show that everyone out there wants to see, which is Clegane Bowl, right? So, I don't know.
The one thing I wanted to ask you though, Mel, I meant to ask you about this scene as soon as Arya takes off, right? Mm-hmm. And there's been some time, probably in between. What did do you think Melisandre and the Hound ever had a conversation about anything, or anything happened during the time from the time that Arya left, right? And then we see Hound and Melisandre come out at the end of the episode. But do you think anything happened in between there?
Maybe they were talking about how to roast chickens the best because, Melisandre is like the human lighter right now, right? I mean, she went to basically Essos, stayed there for about, a year just to learn to be a human lighter, evidently, and come back without any reinforcements. So, so she knows heat, right? She knows fire. The Hound knows chicken. So maybe they combine their powers together. They can make the perfect fried chicken.
It'll be tough to do now, but that would be a great spinoff to the series. It'd be a Hound and Mel chicken roasters or something.
Yeah. Yep, they can open up their own KFC franchises throughout Westeros. And make some major coinage here. All right, so okay, so my number 3, okay, Dogs was the Hound saving Middle Earth, aka Westeros.
Oh man, how'd I mess that up?
And my number 3 is Axis and Allies. You ever play that board game, Dog? Axis and Allies. It's a basic World War II game. You basically, learn how to strategize. You play one side, the other person plays the other side, right? And basically, you kind of learn how to strategize and move your armies around. This to me was a culmination of many, many moments in terms of how this battle actually was formulated by the armies of the living, right? I mean, there were at least 4 things that I thought was kind of wrong and against, basic, military convention. Okay, I'm not a military tactician. I don't claim to be one. Okay, but I kind of have some kind of common sense in terms of what may work and what may not work given the context of kind of like the games I've played, kind of like the history I've read up on, right? And there were like 4 different things here. The first thing is that normally you set your trebuchets or catapults, okay, in the rear of the main infantry, not in the front, right? You ever see that movie Gladiator, right?
Oh, right.
In the opening scene, they set their catapults behind the main infantry, Okay, because what that does is that you soften up the opposing incoming forces coming in with the catapults and the trebuchets, and basically softens them up so the infantry has more of a chance, right, to basically do their damage. The second thing is you don't do frontal assaults with light cavalry. Okay, the Dothraki are light cavalry fighters. They're unarmored. Okay, they rely on speed. Okay, they fight with bows and arrows sometimes, and they fight with basically araks, right? Really short kind of weapons. Never mind the fact that the weapons are on fire, okay? Because they could easily be blown out, evidently. So generally, when you're leading a frontal charge with cavalry, they're usually heavy horse, okay? Like in the medieval ages, where they're fully armored knights with big lances, right? Okay, not with like little araks, okay? So yeah, and a modern equivalent of a heavy cavalry unit would be a tank squadron, essentially, right? Tanks are in the front line, just basically moving at the vanguard, just basically softening up defenses. Okay, softening up the lines, okay? So frontal assaults with light cavalry doesn't really work, okay, in modern day warfare or even, medieval warfare. They were actually used more like as flanking attacks, right? Or as, units that cut off the opponent's retreats, okay? So, and what I would have done with the Dothraki was probably hide them to the southern side of Winterfell, okay? Light the trenches. The Whites would have stopped at that point, right, by the trench fires. And then while they were stopped, then basically swing the Dothraki around the flanks and basically hit the Whites as they were stopped at the flanks, okay? While the dragons were burning them up at the same time. So that's just me, but hey, I'm not a battlefield commander. The third thing I thought was kind of interesting here was that they only had a single firewall, and for whatever reason they didn't encircle Winterfell, right? Because you only see the firewall in the northern side of the castle right there, and the Whites for whatever reason didn't want to go around the firewall to the southern side and attack Winterfell from the south or from the east or west. So that was kind of weird. But, if I was, again, fortifying a position, I don't know how much time they had. Maybe it's very difficult to basically dig a trench in frozen tundra. I understand that, right? I'll probably have multiple firewalls, right? You want to have multiple choke points, especially, if you have enough time to do that. Once you have those multiple choke points, then you can actually, master defenses against that choke point, cutting down the opposing forces or the invading forces. And lastly, some people talked about this was why did they wait until the Whites breached the firewall before they started saying, we better get some archers up in the battlements here. I mean, if anything, what they should have done was probably mass the archers, okay, on the battlements to begin with, and also had a line of archers sort of like in front of the castle as well. But they didn't do that. I don't get it, but maybe they had a plan. I didn't have the plan. So anyway, that's pretty much my commentary on the whole state of the battle plan and kind of how odd it was to actually, how odd it was in terms of, contradicting kind of conventional battle tactics. Dog?
That was brilliant, Milt. And I was thinking the exact same thing. I had a few different thoughts, right? I mean, especially, after the episode, right? I think I had to make a little funny video because like when Melisandre lights all the Iraqs, right? Yeah. And I was thinking of that old Coca-Cola commercial, right? And I just had to do a quick little funny video on it because it was so funny, right? So, but you literally couldn't see anything in front of where the Dothraki were running into, right? And again, these are light cavalry folks, right? Who have never, I don't think have the Dothraki even ever seen snow, right? Or even kind of equipped to in this terrain, if you will, right? But I mean, after all the work that Dany basically had to go through, all the seasons we have watched with Dothraki, right? And we get to hear about how fantastic and marvelous they are in the open field, right? They are gone. Yeah. They are just gone, poof, just gone, right? But they just go into the darkness that, again, right? You're just sending out your light cavalry into the absolute darkness. You have no idea what's out there, right? And Milt said this beautifully, right? The best thing would have been either maybe use the dragons, right? Or maybe one of the dragons or something, or maybe, wait for these guys to attack, kind of like what they first were thinking of doing at Battle of the Bastards, right? That was the whole plan, was to have them charge, right? And then we could try to surround them or flank them, do a pincer move on them basically or something, right? But yeah, I would have used these guys to flank them, right? I mean, I would have used these guys at the most desperate hour or something, right? And had them kind of come in, like the Rohirrim, right? Yep. That would have made a little more sense. Now, also, when this, I think you mentioned about how they had this, because we're talking a little bit of tactics here, of course, right? But when they get this trench lit up finally, right? Nobody's attacking the whites at all, right? Yeah. Nobody is shooting at the whites, and you see. I think in the background, sometimes they show Danny or John or somebody, right? They're just, I think it's Danny, because John I think he was chilling out, right? So,
he was weeping for Rhaegal.
Just kind of doing a sweep of everything, right? But then all that sweeping stops, right? And you can see all the whites in front of that line of fire, right? And I was just like, man, that'd be really cool if maybe one of them dragons just came down and did a quick vacuum sweep in that area, and we wouldn't get overrun inside the castle.
Yeah, but instead they waited to do that vacuum sweep after the trench was right. I mean, after the trench was lit, right? I mean they could have been doing vacuum sweeps the whole time, So and probably saved a lot of infantry doing that. And it is a classic military maneuver where you basically let the center of the opposing army basically come at the center of your infantry, right? And you basically stall them there, and then you swing around with cavalry to basically crush the flanks, or with another unit of infantry to crush the flanks of that opposing army. And it didn't happen. I'm not sure if they would have won anyway if they used actual conventional smart military tactics. But I think it just made it a bit more far-fetched that this was the best plan that they can come up with at the time. So,
I mean, they lit all those Iraqs, lit them all up, and then they just blew them all out like a candle. And then Ghost runs out there with them as well, right? I mean, we could, why would Ghost be on the front line as well? That was another, that didn't make any sense.
I mean, I don't know what Ghost is doing there to begin with, but I was reminded by Amanda here, one of my mods, that Shannon Thompson mentioned that they may not have wanted to take the dragons out at that point because of the fear of the ice bears. Could possibly take them
out. A bit too, like when they first flew around that area, but then the blizzard came, right? And so I was thinking, those guys are going to start throwing their spears or something, but they never did that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the whole thing about the Dothraki, what really bugged me as well, was the fact that why didn't they have any kind of dragon glass weapons? They were fighting with their own conventional steel Iraqs, right? Which makes it using those things makes killing whites a lot harder. So did they know that Melisandre was going to come in there and basically light up their Iraqs on fire? Was that predetermined somehow? Because that didn't make any kind of sense whatsoever. But anyway. I'm done. We're done with the Dothraki. Dothraki genocide was committed by the Night King here, and we should go to the rest of our list, right, Dog? What do you think?
Sure.
But before we go,
kind of reading through the chat here, some great stuff in there. Hi, chat. Great to see us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. But before we get to our top two, Dog, guess what time it is? That is right, guys. It's time for our episode 4 predictions starring the wheel. So Dog, you have any questions to ask the wheel here? Okay, I had to replace a lot of dead people with still living people in this wheel, but we had 25 slots, and all 25 slots are filled. So, you got any questions you want to ask the wheel here, Dog?
Yeah. Who is Jon Snow's big bad now?
What is a big bad?
Like, okay, like you know how like Superman has like Lex Luthor, right?
Okay,
Batman
okay.
has Joker. Uh,
Uh-huh.
who else? Evil Knievel has like Martha Stewart or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true or not, right?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, who's his Joker, if you will, to his Batman now that Night King is gone?
Oh, is this in general for the season or just in episode
Yeah, for the
4?
rest of the season, I want to
Okay.
know who is. I mean, who's the big bad to face John now?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So who is John's nemesis now? And let's go ahead and spin the wheel, why don't we?
And the wheel has no. How's that work? No.
The wheel has no emotions, doesn't get depressed, and it has no political agenda whatsoever.
Right. The wheel doesn't care if you had issues with the last episode or anything
Yeah.
of that nature. The
And-
wheel just.
And it's
Stop
stopping
it.
right now. Braun is going to be John's big bad. What do you think about that?
Ooh, didn't see that one coming. So yeah, maybe that's a possibility. Maybe Bronn does actually do what Cersei possibly thinks he's actually going to do, which I don't think Bronn's ever. I think Bronn's at least going to ask Tyrion if he can beat that price or something, right? But if that does come true,
Yeah.
then maybe that would be a possible, maybe a somebody to pit up against Jon now. Jon versus Bronn.
Hey, dog, let's think about it this way. Maybe Bronn is thinking that Cersei will reward him a lot more, basically, for killing Jon than basically killing Tyrion and Jaime together. So basically, Jon's worth more gold than Jaime and Tyrion combined, possibly, to Cersei.
Right. Because he said he wasn't going to do anything to the Dragon Queen, but he never mentioned anything about Jon Snow or Aegon the Sixth, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So my question is going to be, who is Cersei Lannister going to sleep with next? Because I don't think she's done sleeping with other men. So let's go see. And we're going, and I'm going to stop it right here. She's going to sleep with the Hound, dog. What do you think about that?
Ooh, didn't see that. I mean, yeah, maybe that's where he gets knighted.
yeah, and definitely especially after the Hound kills Zombie Mountain, right? I mean,
right. She'll need a
Golem Mountain, right?
That, so.
Yeah, maybe that's the Hound's enticement for joining her new Queen's Guard.
It sounds interesting.
All right, and anybody in the chat, first question that gets posted in the chat that's relevant to this wheel, I'll spin it for you.
It's got to be a who question, folks.
Has to be a who question.
Because we have a wheel full of who's.
Let's see what somebody comes up with here.
I know one of you got who kills Cersei, really?
Who kills Cersei? It sounds too close to who's going to sleep with Cersei. Yeah, okay. I actually like who is the next death, and that is the Fearless Mermaid. All right, thanks for the question. Who is going to be the next death in the show? Oops.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay, I pressed the wrong one. Okay, and here it goes.
Big bucks,
Who is
no
going
whammies.
to be the next death? And it's right on the line, guys, between Euron and Tyrion. Euron would have been a good choice, but I got to spin again because it's right on the line. Sorry.
Maybe they both take each other out.
Yeah. So, or it could be a double fatality. Maybe they both die at the same time.
I'm going to write this one down just to make sure. We might have to go back to it.
All
I think
right.
the wheel's trying to tell us something.
So let's go ahead and do it again. It looked to be right on the line, so I mean, I can't.
Right? No, I agree with you. I think it was right on that line.
Yeah. All right. The next death is going to be Gilly. I mean, I really don't see that happening. I think she has the plot armor to stay because somebody needs to take care of the next Night King, aka Little Sam. What do you think?
Right. I mean, like, where is she going to go that's going to put her in danger right now?
I mean, she is disposable. I mean, she doesn't do anything, so, but still.
Like, when I don't know, is she going to stick around? Like, I think the Night's Watch is over.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think she's going to stay in Winterfell or go with Sam back to Hornhill or something. But until then, I don't think she's like gonna put herself in, in the pit of battle, in King's Landing or something, right? If that's where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of an interesting choice by the wheel, but what do we do here? So Gilly, once Gilly, it's interesting. Maybe she dies in Dragonstone helping Daenerys give birth to some demon child, and she gets killed.
And
She gets killed in the aftermath. I don't know. So let's go to our top two, why don't we, Dog? What do you think?
Oh, we're on the top two now.
Yep. All right. And top
and my number two here, folks, is what I like to call Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, right? So I was thinking of that ending. So that's why I named this one Butch and Sundance. But basically kind of, I guess the main moment here I should discuss, I mean, the end, right, where I thought they were possibly going to run out and, maybe she might actually have to use that pointy end, if you will, right? I thought that was coming, but no, that didn't happen, right? They just kind of, I think they just kind of found Varys, didn't they? Is that what happened there? or like when they ran out behind there, did the Night King get killed at that point, or did they like find Varys and hide with him or something? I can't remember now. But,
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I remember was them lying, behind one of those stone coffins, which remained intact, so that white didn't reanimate and bust through that stone coffin. All right, and they pulled their knives, and I thought, I thought they were about ready to kill themselves, in case the whites came after them. Okay, but they didn't do that. Instead, they just looked at each other. Tyrion kissed Sansa's hand and basically went speeding off somewhere to find Varys. I think that was the plan, was to find Varys, in this whole thing. And Sansa was just there kind of hanging out with a knife for whatever reason. But she does know how to use a knife now, right?
Which right, yeah. I mean, once you learn how to stick with the pointy end, that's...
Yeah, so... yeah, I'm not sure what was going on here.
Right. I guess they're trying to possibly foreshadow. I mean, for the folks that definitely want to see Sansa and Tyrion at the end of this, they definitely got a little teaser of that possibility here, right? Especially with the dialogue. Basically, I think Sansa says something about it wouldn't work between us or something, right? Which actually was like, whoa, Sansa would. It seems like she actually would be cool being married to Tyrion, right? But then, I think Tyrion says something, but she had some, she's like, it wouldn't work because the Dragon Queen would have issues. We're opposing alliances or something of that nature now, right? But then Missandei kind of comes in and is like, look, Dragon Queen's best in the world, right? And you better watch, talking about my Dragon Queen, right? And so I think that's going to come into play. Possibly, next episode or two, where Missandei is gonna, probably be like, hey, you better watch out for that Stark girl because she's talking smack about you a little bit, right? So, but I did hear somebody else talk, Preston Jacobs, I think it was. I was watching him earlier today, and he talked about this whole show has been kind of based on marriages and forming alliances, if you will, through marriage, right? So you would make peace with your enemies, if you will, right? I think we've heard that line also, right? But why wouldn't it work between these two, I guess, right? So but it's definitely interesting that Sansa doesn't sound like she's opposed to this, right? So I think this will definitely be a plot line down the road.
I mean, Sansa is the smartest person in Westeros now, right? According to Arya.
I don't think so, because if she was so smart, now Mel, if she was so smart, she would have told Sam, "Hey Sam, you don't need to be up here. You should be down here in the crypts with us, right? And protecting me from my my great grandmother, if you would. That would be kind of nice, right? They're punching through. You can kind of do like you did to that White Walker back in like season 3 or something, right?
Yeah.
That could have been a thing that Sansa could have told Sam to do, right? So, I'm not sure if she is the smartest person. maybe the smartest that Arya has met, but I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
so.
she's smart compared to like Arya's friends, right? Like Gendry and Hot Pie and Lami Greenhands, right? So yeah, definitely. Hey, and also speaking of the Whites and their coffins, you think the Whites did that like Uma Thurman move, like in Kill Bill Part 2, where she just kind of this. The Whites are doing this.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
1-inch punch.
Yeah. So,
I think that might have been it. Yeah, they might have been students of Paime.
Yeah. Yep. Paime, the master who knows all, just like Mr. Miyagi. My number 2 is Wolverine. Wolverine in Westeros. Okay, think about it. What Wolverine has. Okay, super healing, check for that, right? I mean, after being stabbed with a twisting knife in the abdomen, okay, recovers, then does parkour. Super speed, okay, check. I mean, how else are you gonna run past all those White Walkers, without any of them knowing, except for that one White Walker who turned his head, right? Watching her just zoom on by. And flight. I mean, how did she just basically fly out of nowhere to basically, and right behind, the Night King, unless somebody left a trampoline, behind the weirwood tree. That was the secret weapon. Somebody left the trampoline behind the weirwood tree. Arya jumped on that trampoline and basically flew in the air to attack the Night King. There you go. I mean, other than those three, other than that reason, I can't see how Arya could have gained the power of flight unless she was imbued by superpowers somehow. And I keep on saying it has to be that magic milk of the poppy that Lady Crane gave her. I mean, what more do you want? And then she also has that tagline, just like Wolverine, right? I'm the best at what I do. And she proved in this episode that she is the best at what she does, which is basically killing people. She's like the ultimate killing machine at this point. I don't know what else to say about this. I'm not in shock Arya killed the Night King. I'm kind of like, I'm more questioning how she killed the Night King. I'm not against her killing, the Night King, because, I wish that they could have used that weapon that, she asked Gendry to make as part of the killing move. But, she lost it evidently. So, earlier on, but she did use a cast ball dagger. So, I don't know. I think this scene was kind of really too, Marvel Cinematic Universe in a way, and comic book in a way. And I guess I'll just leave it at that, because I don't know what else to say about this scene. Dog.
Could the Night King have a T2 moment and pull himself together and come back? I don't think so. I wanted to answer that question right. But who knows? I mean, because this girl just came right out of nowhere, right? So who am I to say that couldn't be a possibility living on a prayer? So
yeah. And then Phil's asking, was she in the trees? And I'm going, how can she be in the trees when that White Walker actually turned his head? He was away from the tree. He turned his head so as if he heard somebody, basically running past him. So
I think I figured it out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You remember that character, and she's learning all these new superhero powers, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say she didn't meet Nightcrawler, right? that guy that just kind of can morph or kind of teleport.
He teleports, yeah, with Brimstone, yeah.
And maybe she got some unicorn powers from maybe she found a unicorn. When she was out looking for oysters, clams, and cockles or something.
Yeah.
Maybe she found a unicorn that taught her how to do some teleportation, right? So if she was like Nightcrawler and Wolverine kind of morphed together, this could work, right? We don't see anything, right? We just see that White Walker is like kind of looking over. He's like, hey, where the hell she come from, right? And she has that Nightcrawler. I think his name's Nightcrawler, isn't it?
Yeah. Part of the X-Men. Yeah, I mean, he teleports.
So she just kind of worked or kind of teleported right there. And that's what I think happened here, right? So, but and you again, folks, I was not opposed to Arya having the killing blow here. I think I predicted. I think I was talking to Milda maybe on the stream or maybe off screen.
Yeah, you predicted that the cat's paw's dagger was going to kill it, and you're completely right on that. Definitely.
I thought Arya was gonna like kind of do like a Pippin,
Mm-hmm.
and John was gonna be the Eowyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he was gonna basically take down the Witch King, right? And Arya would be the kind of the Pippin in it, right? But she'd probably like throw John the dagger or something. I thought it was gonna be something like that, right? And John would basically take down his big bad, which is now we figured out. Well, the wheel told us that John's real big bad is Bronn.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I wasn't opposed to Arya doing the killing blow and all that things.
Mm-hmm.
It was how it went down. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
we had this absolutely. I mean, the music was beautiful, by the way. Right. I mean, absolute awesome job by Ramen Noodle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ramen Noodle.
I can't say his last name, so I just call him Ramen Noodle. So. Like, I mean, but like that guy, like he was just walking so slow, right? I was like, man, are we ever gonna, find out what happens, right? And it was just a big slow mo, and then she just, it's the Nightcrawler ability. That's what happened, man. We're gonna see that. It's gonna be revealed, and I'm gonna be labeled super predictor.
Okay, there you go, guys. Dog's calling his shots. Arya has developed teleportation abilities, and yeah, but if that was the case, then why was she kind of sneaking around the library, but before she met up with, Beric?
And why did the whites get like really slow all of a sudden too? Right? Yeah. I mean, that's why, I'm not like I'm not a big zombie fan at all. Right. Like for the most part, I'm not, I don't watch a lot of zombie films, things of that nature. Right. But what I loved about the show was like when we saw like the Hard Home episode, right. And you saw that, oh man, these are whites, right? They fight, they move fast, right? They, they don't just, I'm a zombie, right? Yeah. But they just kind of seem to, again, we had Arya just destroying a bunch of them, right? And then now she's sneaking around while there's just kind of a, maybe she didn't want him to scream and, get all the other ones, but she would have gone through them like Jedi through the droid army, right?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Ouroboros. You mentioned icing Darth Maul. I've been saying that for like seasons, that he looks exactly like Darth Maul. In fact, I told BBM or Phantom D Saint one time that if you wanted a Darth Maul Funko, basically you wanted a Night King Funko, a metallic Night King Funko, get a Darth Maul Funko and just basically spray chrome paint on him, and you'll have your metallic Night King Funko. So anyway, what can I say about Wolverine? I mean, she's definitely overpowered now, and I don't know what's stopping her at this point.
Seriously,
Gendry is the only person that can stop her.
If these folks, right, and I know the Dothraki are gone, right, we're a little decimated, right, but if these folks, right, through the rest of these, through the episodes, don't just absolutely decimate Cersei and the gang, right, and just kind of go through them like absolute butter. It's kind of a plot hole.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, with Arya, right, with dragons, and there should be absolutely no issue of taking over Cersei, but they're going to make it that Cersei, which I've said before that Cersei is the main antagonist in this story, right? So they're going to end it with with that storyline, right, which is going to be great for us because we'll be able to see at least because. It looks like this winter wasn't as long as they'd hoped for or were worried about, right? It looked like winter is already over, and
their
winter was shorter than ours.
Yeah, it's really a shame. I mean, the whole death of the Night King is kind of like, it's kind of separate from this discussion, but the fact that he was so hyped, for 8 seasons now. To have him go out just like this, without any kind of like information on his motivation for why he wants to erase the world, is kind of, it's kind of fast. It's kind of lazy in a way because I think the writers want this show to be about the politics of King's Landing, the political situation more so than the mystical / magical situation going on in in this world. So
Right.
That's really too bad. So, Dawg, okay, we are at our number ones.
At number one, folks, and
Okay.
again, a lot of these are moments here, folks, right? And my number one moment, right, is my favorite character on the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not because this is a great moment of anything, right? But this is an absolute WTF moment for me as a Jon Snow fan, right? Throughout the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the Dragon Screamer, right? So as again we talked earlier in the episode that Jon is basically trying to get to the Godswood. Right, he's trying to, and we talked about what happened to Jorah and Dany coming down, and she's like, "Go," or whatever. Right now, Viserion comes down and is basically just blocking Jon from getting to the Godswood. That's kind of what I took from it. Right, was it wasn't so much Jon trying to stop the dragon from getting to the Godswood as Jon trying to get to the Godswood and the dragon kind of blocking him from getting there. That's kind of what I was gathering from that. Right. Now, however, the whole entire time that Jon is hiding around, he's kind of playing Dirk the Daring from Dragon's Lair, right? Old video game folks might remember, right? So remind me of him playing Dragon's Lair a little bit, right? But he's and I'm going, oh, he's gonna slay the dragon, right? I'm like, at least we'll have him doing something kind of cool, because I'm like, I'm looking at the time. Also on the episode, right? I'm going, how's he going to have enough time to get to the Godswood to destroy the Night King? If that's going to possibly go down and destroy this dragon, that's going to be fine, right? No, he stands up and yells at it, right? So, and now I think I looked up, I saw some, looks like some folks think that, maybe this is some like the dragon actually understood him, right? Because he's super Targaryen now, of course, right? And maybe this undead dragon that's controlled by the Night King actually stopped because Jon told him, said, bad dragon, you stop being bad dragon, right? And then the dragon just yelled at him, right? They just kind of yelled at each other. And I fully expected Jon to just kind of do kind of a cool moment where he just kind of slayed the dragon with a Longclaw. And that maybe it would have distracted the Night King at that point, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have Arya come in, or something to that nature, right? Or maybe Arya pops up from the under where that pond should be, like you mentioned last week, Milt. Yep. I think that was last week you mentioned that, right, Milt? Where that pond's missing now.
Yeah.
They could have had Arya pop up out of there or something, right? Kind of done like a Houdini or something, right? But and overall, folks. I'm trying to think of what did Jon Snow really do this episode? Where did he really, other than when the Night King came in, and I think he took down the corner wall, or of the castle, right? And I think Jon flies in and blocks him, right? But I think Dany's right. I think Drogon actually is what knocks I could hardly see it, right? Yeah. But I think Drogon's the one that actually knocks the Night King off. I might be wrong on that, Milt.
Yeah,
but
it was, yeah.
Okay, that's the only thing I can think of that Jon really did in this episode was, maybe helping out when they were up in the air, right, with Dany a little bit, right? But, there was no big bad for him to fight, really, other than I think he fought a few whites, right? And then all those whites were kind of surrounding him, and they just kind of stood there. I didn't understand, like, when the Night King just rose them all, they just kind of, stood all around Jon, and Jon was just kind of standing there too. You'd think he'd just be on super attack mode at that point or something like that. They did the same thing though when, inside the castle, when all our main characters that we thought were gonna not make it, they were like, "Oh, these guys are gonna make it. These guys are gonna make it. These guys are gonna make it," kind of thing. But all those other whites are just kind of standing up, But the music was brilliant, though. I will say that, right? So again. I know that the way they were shooting that scene was probably a lot maybe a lot to do with the way they had that music playing as well. But
you know what, Dawg? For such a pivotal episode, right, and such an important episode in the series to basically have our main protagonist, our hero, right, our Luke Skywalker, right, Jon Snow, just basically seems so useless in this battle, in comparison to his usual, omnipotence and all powerful, powers that he does have, and it was just kind of a disappointment, And the last time, and his last bit of action that we saw him, he's basically screaming at a dragon who can probably not even understand him. So right, a zombie or a white dragon. So, and what was he gonna do? I mean, was he just gonna like scream him down and basically fight him with harsh language? No, seriously, what was he gonna do?
I'm looking at Mermaid there. She
Yeah.
said he was going to brood the dragon to death.
Yeah, or
That's
something.
great.
I mean, harsh language is a weapon, I guess. So maybe he thought he can beat him down that way. But yeah, I mean, he didn't even attempt to use Long Claw. You notice that? I mean, Long Claw wasn't even unsheathed, right? So
Well, he had it out
Yeah.
like as he was playing Dirk the Daring, right?
Yeah.
Like, right, left, and then hit, and well, you never hit the sword button ever, right? So, but yeah, when he actually stands up,
Yeah.
I mean, that was his decision.
Yeah.
Sheath the sword
Exactly.
and stand up and yell at it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Amanda brings up a great point, right? I mean, of course he contributed to this battle, right? He brought everybody here together and all that
Sure.
stuff. But I guess my main point was on this huge episode, right? This awesomely, hyped episode, and what did he really do, man? He stood up and he just screamed at that dragon. So I wish we'd have gotten a little more. We would have had like Super Targaryen Jon Snow now, right?
Yeah.
His first battle as knowing that he is one of the kings of kings, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this one, right? This was his first act, was screaming at the dragons, right? I mean, I wanted to see Super Targ.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, you know what this also reminded me of, like John versus the Dragon. It reminded me of season 4 with Arya and the Hound, where Arya's just screaming at the Hound, who's like so much bigger than her, and arguing with him. This is exactly what this reminded me of. John against the dragons, like Arya and the Hound. So anyway, all right, well, great choice. Yeah, John, our hero, the Dragon Screamer, and my number one, guys. Okay. Get ready for this, okay? Because it's gonna really, really be controversial, but some people will love it. It's freaking the Giant Slayer, right? Lyanna Mormont, the death of Lyanna Mormont. And Dawg, we talked about this, right? And think about how reminiscent of this scene is, where, with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, right? Remember in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in the troll scene, right? Where basically, the troll grabbed Harry and Harry stuck his wand up that troll's nose. And that basically disoriented him. This is exactly like the same scene in the episode where Lyanna Mormont basically stuck her wand, in this case, a dragonglass knife, into the giant's eye. It's perfect, it's perfect parallels here, guys. I mean, she was channeling her inner Harry Potter here, okay?
Yep,
So,
just fish and flick.
Yeah, what do you think about this? I mean, are the scenarios are just totally eerie in terms of similarity here?
I thought it was just absolutely brilliant, and that's exactly what when I watched this scene over, and how brilliantly and with total intelligence that the white giant just picks up Lyanna Mormont like King Kong. I was first thinking I was thinking of King Kong, and then I was like, oh no, he's not doing it, is he? He's bringing her up there so she can just swish and flick, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, I thought of this. I was thinking of that cave.
So
troll, right?
So Dawg. So if Lyanna Mormont was in Hogwarts, what house would she be in?
Ooh, that's it. You know what? She is pretty. You know what? I gotta say this. She is pretty brave to just go. Going after the giant like that. So she might possibly be a Gryffindor.
I totally agree with you here. Yeah, she's definitely Gryffindor. In fact, she would be one of Harry Potter's best friends here. But guys, that's not really my number one. Whoa, what a surprise, right? In fact, my number one is actually a positive moment here. And basically, I think it's Theon and Jorah's farewell scenes. I think both of them were done really, really well. And they both died, passed away very, very nobly. And, they were both, they both died in a very noble fashion, but their journeys were just so different, right? I mean, especially Theon, being the Ward of the Starks, then being a turncloak, then basically doing all he can to redeem himself, to the place, to the place where he grew up, and Jorah, right, basically just hanging in there with Daenerys Targaryen, through the entire series. For them to die in these fashions, I think were just great. In the case of Theon, just going out like a total beast, total boss. I mean, look at that scene. You can barely see it, but he has like right about maybe 10 or 12 basically whites surrounding him. He was the last person standing guarding Bran. I mean, he was that dedicated and that motivated to basically prove himself and basically try to save one of the most important characters in the whole season. And then for Jorah, I mean, it was the same way. He died for his Khaleesi, right? He died for his one love, and the love was not reciprocated, obviously, but still there was sadness there. It was very touching. It was again, very noble. I mean, they basically, he went out fighting alongside his Khaleesi, which is which is great, right? Which is total it's totally perfect for him. And then when Jorah dies, I thought that was awesome too. When Dany basically, she was in full grief, Drogon comes in, swoops in, and basically he lays down next to Daenerys and basically shares her grief, with him, right? By kind of like wrapping his wing around Daenerys symbolically. You can kind of see that in that picture there, which I thought was kind of cool, because maybe it does show kind of like the connection that Daenerys has with her dragons, and the dragons are a lot more than just basically simple-minded flying reptiles, right? They're actually they actually have some empathic powers, if you will, or empathic abilities, if you will. So I thought the way that these two guys went out of the series was great, was well done, and I mean, I loved it. It was very touching, both these scenes, especially with the music that played right after during these two scenes.
Absolutely, Mel. Fantastic choice here. And yeah, thanks for mentioning it. I totally forgot about Drogon when he came in. Yeah. Kind of like I was cradling the two, right? So yeah, I was like, yeah, that's what greater honor could a soldier like Jorah have than dying for his queen and having a dragon, right, come down and pay homage or respect, kind of thing, right? So yeah, it was awesome for Jorah, right? But yeah, back to Theon. Yeah, that was, I think, out of all the arcs, I think Theon's was the most complete out of all the arcs, out of all the characters, I think, really. I mean, it's arguable, right? Maybe the Hound possibly, right? But I think Theon, from beginning to end, right, he had a great arc throughout this entire run. So, great job. Alfie Allen was a fantastic actor. The only thing I wish we would have got another rousing speech kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know they couldn't kind of do it, right? But, the one rousing speech he did give that time, he got thumped on the back of the head, of course, right? But I would have liked to seen, one last rousing speech by him while he had, a few of his buddies there, right?
Yep.
But it was fantastic how, he was the last man standing, right? And it reminded me more, I know I keep going back to Lord of the Rings a little bit, right? But when you read about the departure of Boromir, right, and they talk, and he talks about all the bodies that were around him and all that things, and the way they showed it on the screen was awesome, right? You could see how many bodies were basically piled up and what he had gone through to get to that final point, of course, right? And then it was kind of like he kind of went out like Boromir, a little bit like King Theoden as well, right? Kind of going out by the Witch King of Angmar, right? So it kind of felt like that. The only WTF that a lot of folks have is what was Bran doing the whole time there, right? I mean, we saw him, send off those ravens, which at first I thought he was going to send them out to like, distract the Night King or something, but he has that mark on him anyway. So I don't know why he's got but I don't know, maybe he was watching reruns of John and Danny or something on the boat or something. I don't know what he was doing. What was Bran doing the whole time, Milt?
I think he was probably watching reruns of Welcome Back, Kotter.
That could have been
welcome back, school's back in session because winter's over.
Now, also,
I have no idea. I have no idea what Bran's storyline is at this point.
I have a question also for you, right? Maybe a little Do you think that this is the end of does he become Bran Stark again now? Is the three-eyed raven thing over with?
Yeah.
Is the reign of the Night Kings and the White Walkers and all that stuff, is that all over with now? And does that kind of like break him loose of being the three-eyed raven, right? And if that is true, has he lost his powers, if you will, right? Is he now just Brandon Stark? Will he be able to see what Cersei's up to? Will he be able to see what Euron's up to? Because with Brandon's powers and Arya's teleportation abilities and Wolverine powers and skills, right? They are
unbeatable.
Pretty tough match to beat.
Yeah. Actually, Dawg, I was actually thinking about that. I wouldn't have been surprised if I saw kind of like Bran, once the Night King went down, Bran just kind of like snap out of something, right? Snap out of some sort of weird trance of his and basically started kind of acting human, maybe like a tear or whatever, going down his eyes or something like that, right? Something really Hollywood or something like that. And for him to actually act human again, does it break a spell? I don't know. A lot of people in the chat seem to think it doesn't, because he's connected to the werewolves, and his powers are tied to the werewolves. So only when they get rid of the werewolves would he actually go back to being human. I don't know. Okay, but what it seems to me like, Bran was there basically, to be the three-eyed raven, to basically fight against the forces of darkness, right? The dead. And now that those forces are gone, right? Supposedly gone, what is his role right now? Because to basically help them fight against Cersei, that seems really, really mundane, in terms of his powers, how he uses his powers, right? To basically get involved in the politics of Westeros and King's Landing, right? That just seems really, I don't know. It seems like a waste of his powers, like really mundane. It seems beneath him. That makes sense, right? To worry about the politics of Westeros. So I don't know. But part of me thinks that the reason why he's still around is because the whole Night King storyline isn't quite over yet. There's something else that's going to happen.
All right. I was kind of curious, because how you said maybe it's just mundane to him. He doesn't want to get involved in that, right? Yeah. But I'm just wondering, he should be able to tell us what Qyburn's up to, right? What's his plan of attack for these dragons? What's Cersei's plan for the Targaryen girl, right? Yeah. Bran should be able to find out, according to what they've shown us, right? Bran should be able to and know what Euron's up to with the Golden Company, all that stuff. Yeah. He should. It would be like playing chess against a checkers player kind of thing, right? For use of a bad analogy, I guess.
Yeah. Where's the drama mystery in that when you have some guy that knows, that can foresee the future, right? To basically be involved in like a political game. I don't know where the drama is in that, but maybe it could happen, But to me, it just seems like that he has to be there, still living for some reason, and I think it has to be related to Mike.
You couldn't see the future, even knowing the present.
Yeah. I don't know. It's who knows with Bran, man. It's still kind of an enigma, right?
But it's stuff like that, though, Milt. It's gonna get guys like me and you and gals, of course, right? Everybody in this chat, we're gonna watch Sunday. We're gonna watch tomorrow, of course, right? Because I want to know, is Bran still the three-eyed raven, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I have some questions, right? So, and we're gonna get some color next week. It looks like we're gonna have some color and some light and stuff. So.
Yep. Awesome. So, great. So let's go ahead and recap. So we're done with our list, but we're going to go and recap our top 5, starting with the visiting team. Dawg.
All right, folks. Yep. So my number 1 was what I called the Dragon Screamer scene, right? Or I guess the Dragon Whisperer, Jon Snow there versus as he's playing Dirk the Daring from Dragon's Lair, right? So, and then my number 2 was what I call the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid scene, and the one kind of before that too in the crypts with Sansa and Tyrion, kind of their, where's their story going? I think this is a important moment, if you will, as we go down the road, is the Sansa and Tyrion how's that relationship going to play out again. It's going to be interesting also how the it looks like they're kind of going with the Arya and Gendry making out every episode now, possibly. But I think that Hound and Arya are definitely going to have a pretty meaningful relationship. Not, they're going to be buddies for life, I hope, right? And she's probably going to help him straighten out his brother, possibly. So my number 4 was what I call Jorah's last stand, right? Jorah going out like an absolute boss for his Khaleesi one last time. And again, one of my favorite characters was Jorah Mormont, and was great to have him on the show. So see you later, Jorah, as well as Ed Tullett. Farewell, Ed. And I think I was a little bit getting deep into Sam's actions a little bit more than Ed a little bit, right? But Ed was a great character. As Milt said earlier, he was probably one of the more reasonable characters on the show, right? And what was Sam doing there playing Snagglepuss at the end there? So exit stage left. So, but yeah, that's my list here, folks. And I'm looking forward to showing you my list for next week, Saturday. So thanks for being here, chat.
Yeah, awesome list, Dog. And for my top 5s, okay, we're starting out with basically, Tyrese Rasputin, aka Grey Worm, and how the hell did he survive? In terms of, that was one of my, WTF moments, seeing him still alive at the end of the battle. It's like, what happened here? Number 4 was basically the Night of the Living Dead, and how those 1,000-year-old corpses can actually reanimate from dust and bones and bash through stone coffins. Number 3 was basically the kind of like the battle plan in general that the Army of the Living had, and we had some good discussion about that, and it was very contrary to a lot of accepted battlefield tactics. But I'm no tactician or a battle commander, nor I've ever been in the military. But hey, it was still kind of weird. Number 2 was Wolverine. And X-Men finally showed up in the show, in the form of Arya Stark. So, you go, girl. And number 1 was basically the twin deaths of Theon and Jorah, and how well they went out, and how perfectly appropriate, I guess, the scenes were and the music was and also the situations in which they went out. I think it was great and very, very well done. So that was a very positive moment in a very inconsistent show. So that is it, folks, for us. Let's see. So, Dog, you excited for next week? Ready to roll on this thing?
Yeah, I'm curious as to, I think that a lot of folks we're going, oh, there's no real threat now, but Cersei's going to definitely have something up her sleeve. If you think a lot of your characters that didn't make it, that did survive through this episode, I got a feeling, get ready, right? Because they're still gonna, there might be some tears here and there coming, right? They might make this. I don't know if the battle is gonna be as elaborate and things of that nature, but I think the drama and maybe the sadness of some of our characters head out off the show might happen as we end up here. Definitely looking forward. I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen tomorrow night. No.
Yeah, great. And I totally agree with you. I mean,
what? If I could real quick, the only thing I think we didn't touch on, did you have any thoughts real quickly about the Jamie Podrick, Brienne gang? I can't remember if we touched on any of those at all.
No. I mean, I
think that's why they weren't really.
In terms of overall body count, I was kind of disappointed by the relatively low number. Given all the hype, surrounding this battle, and I expected one of those 3 to die, honestly. And I thought it was going to be either Brienne or Podrick, but they all survived. I mean, and they were also involved in these 1 versus 20 fights, right? Where they were fighting a bunch of White Walkers. Then boom, we have a jump scene, a jump cut, right? And then later on, we see them again, and they miraculously survived. So, right. Yeah. I mean, it was interesting.
The only other thing I could think of that we didn't talk about was how, you know, if Melisandre didn't take out that necklace, she was going to have hell to pay from Davos, right?
Oh yeah, I mean Davos didn't
He was
do.
ready to just.
Yeah, I mean Davos didn't do anything in the whole battle, right? But he was ready to basically put that knife into her heart afterwards at the end, right? Wasn't he?
I had to mention that because you mentioned that to me, and I was laughing so hard when you mentioned that.
Yeah,
I was looking at you, I was like, "What's Davos doing?"
I mean, Davos was ready to basically put a knife into an old lady. I think he was ready to go he was ready to go ape on her. So Dawg. So what's happening on your channel, man? I mean, is it finally lifted? Is the ban finally lifted?
No, I think we're about halfway, a little over halfway through I think it happened on St. Patty's Day, folks. So
okay.
I think I've counted it down. Probably, I think we're looking around June 16th.
Yeah,
should possibly be our thing lifted. But I'll keep you folks up to date. So in the meantime, I'll keep the music playing and try to keep things afloat in the meantime.
Yeah.
And but we'll get her back up and going eventually. So I definitely miss it. So
yeah.
And
somebody's asking about Bronze John Royce. Yeah, according in the previews, he's actually still alive. So in the books, right? I mean, Bronze John Royce wears that traditional armor of the Royces, which is basically covered with runes, right? So and that supposedly makes them invulnerable to harm. So I guess that armor that Bronze John Royce is wearing in the show is basically keeping him alive. So you go, Bronze John. What were you gonna say about him, Dawg?
About
Bronze John
Royce?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I couldn't remember. Did we even see him with Brienne and them?
No. He was nowhere to be seen.
I remembered seeing the preview before, and I could have swore I saw an Aaron shield, around or near Brienne, right? So I thought she had the Aaron troops with her, and so I was kind of half expecting to see him, and where did he go? I think he's just going to come in.
Yeah.
When Sansa and Dany are having some issues, right, and she's going to take Sansa's side, of course, right? So I don't think the Aarons were very happy with the Targaryens, were they?
Yeah, I think him and I think Bronze John and Alice Karstark were basically playing frisbees, throwing frisbees at each other with Ghost in the middle. Trying to get Ghost to catch frisbees with his mouth, like in the southern side. During the battle, I think that's what they were doing. Just playing frisbee.
That would have been great if they just showed that. Night King's out there looking for the Night King, and he's just throwing frisbees to go.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking happened, but we didn't see them. But I bet you anything that those two are still alive, because I think I saw Alice Karstark in the previews in front of the funeral pyre. So with Bronze John and Ghost is also in there as well. So those aren't leaks; they're actually in the preview, guys. So anyway, that is it for us, right? Until next week, Dawg. We're going to go and recap our top moments from episode 4. But in the meantime, we will. There's trivia next Friday. Every Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Citadel Trivia. This Friday is going to be 52 pickup, but we might have a wheel trivia on Wednesday as well, basically recapping trivia from episodes 2 and 3. So actually from 3 and 4. Excuse me, from 3 and 4. So that's pretty much it, y'all. Thanks a lot again for coming out, and we will talk with you all later.
Bye, folks.
Ninja JK, dupla, jinx, bota, chakra em cada linha de faca. Face, macramé no micado, base, espadas por frases. Sintático, repara no que digo, é paradigmático, não tenho paralelo, sou para lá de mágico. Sabes como rolo, martelo pneumático, técnica secreta do monstro roxo. Estamos a meter-nos no dojo, estamos a manter combos no jogo, só com uma espada nos tojos. Plano picado, não sabes de onde esta ave vem. Nenhum radar pode detectar onde está a nave, mãe, tu sabes bem. Somos a clique, somos o clã, É Monster Jinx cabrão, respeita ou vais comer tartan. Na terra do nunca não digo banzai. Vivo na espunca e tenho um bonsai. Ninja que é ninja, ninja, frotas imperiais. E bate mal, logo bate mais. A minha crew não sem espelhos. Na rua, dragão azul, dragão vermelho. Sento o silêncio. Veste shinobi, nunca me canso, sou de Nairobi. Ágil como um ninja, rápido como um ninja. Letal como um ninja, brutal como um ninja. Fatal como um ninja, forte como um ninja. Secreto como um ninja, deve mesmo ser um ninja.
Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas? Ninjas, 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 ninjas. Esta é para os meus ninjas, só para os meus ninjas. Onde é que estão os meus ninjas? Ninjas, ninjas.